Hollow Pursuits. A shy member of the crew becomes addicted to the holodeck.
We start out the episode with Lieutenant Barclay in 10 Forward. He's a character that we haven't seen before, but he's being very insubordinate, drinking on duty, shoving Geordi, putting Riker in an arm lock, and then he even seduces Troy.
Your arrogant resolve. It excites me.
I mean, obviously, it wasn't real, but it was still really funny. When he's talking to Troy, he's interrupted.
Lieutenant Barclay, report to Cargo Bay 5, now.
And then he responds.
It'll have to wait till later, darling. Be right there!
But he doesn't do anything in between those, so I would think the guy he was talking to thought that first line was meant for him. Would have made things a little more awkward. It turns out in real life, Barclay is not as suave as he is in the holodeck. Geordi describes Barclay.
He never gives his best effort, just slides by. I'm telling you, I can't deal with it anymore.
They seem really annoyed by that, but there have to be other members of the crew that don't have very challenging jobs. They're not all bridge officers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they spend most of their time just traveling from place to place. He and Riker are talking about Barclay, and Riker calls him Broccoli, a name that Wesley cleverly came up with.
We've never seen Geordi or Riker, or really any of the crew, act like such outright dicks to another crew member. Other species, hell yes, but not one of their own. Barclay is played by Dwight Schultz, who is known for being on the A-Team. And a bunch of old people in Final Fantasy games for some weird reason.
You must go and defeat sin quickly.
They are counting on you, milady. Give them a reason to rejoice once more.
Indeed. Then you have but one choice.
Now the right takes Ban Ratsbane to his territorial hunting grounds in the sewer bottom.
But he is one of the few regular people we've seen on this show. He made me think of Ensign Gomez.
Yeah, both of them felt more like real people than the main characters on the show, which for me serves to really draw me into the episode more.
Picard's looking over Barclay's record and says,
I'm just not accustomed to seeing an unsatisfactory rating on a member of my crew.
And then I realized that's why we haven't seen Ensign Gomez in a long time.
That makes sense. Picard gives us a log entry about their important cargo. It doesn't matter what it is, but we do see that one of the canisters is leaking, and that they are planning on transporting the other canisters on a hover table thing that doesn't have any railings. It's not shaped like a bowl or anything to hold things in just in case. And they don't seem very heavy. Why not just carry them? Everyone on this ship hates doing work.
Picard shuts down, calling Barclay broccoli, and it pisses Geordi and Riker off. They are upset that they can't bully this dude. Both of them are really acting like children, and it seemed pretty low for them, especially after the good things we've seen them do in the past.
Agreed. Picard suggests to Geordi that he treat Barclay as his best friend, so he invites him to their engineering stand-up meeting the next morning, but Barclay just ends up getting one-upped by Wesley a bunch of times.
I'm going to look for a surge in the transfer coils.
Oh, a coil surge wouldn't have resulted in field dissipation.
Barclay goes to vent in a counseling session with Troy.
But of course it turns out he's on the holodeck again. Geordi, Wesley, Data, and crewman number 12 are discussing Barclay in 10 Forward, and even Data points out that the broccoli name is stupid, and then for some reason, crewman number 12's glass starts morphing and leaking. Data determines that the glass's molecular structure has somehow been altered, and that it may have been caused by a power leakage somewhere in the ship. Geordi immediately complains about having to do work, then realizes he can just dump it off on Barclay.
At one point, Picard slips up.
Good. I look forward to your report, Mr. Broccoli.
That was okay, but the part I liked the most was Data's reaction after starting his explanation.
A reversal of vowel and consonant. Bark to Brock.
Geordi is still struggling with how to treat Barclay, and he's talking to Guinan, who is wearing her Teletubby Halloween costume. And Geordi just washes his hands of the whole situation by saying,
He just doesn't fit in here.
As Picard stated before,
Try harder, Geordi. He's a member of your team.
So Geordi goes to talk to Barclay and ends up on the holodeck, which was great.
Manners, my son, manners. You embarrass me before our guest.
Cannot withstand our assault forever, Barkley!
Barkley is embarrassed.
I needed to blow off some steam.
Which, to me, seemed like a great use of that space.
In theory, I agree, but I can understand why other people would have concerns about the way he's doing it.
Right.
One of the transporter rooms starts malfunctioning, and we get our first chief engineer's log.
A systems analysis of Transporter Room 3 has yielded no suggestion of a cause for the latest malfunction aboard the Enterprise.
Barkley goes to talk to Troy, who asks,
Have you ever been with a counselor before?
Yes. No.
Which one?
It wasn't really a counselor.
I liked his acting in this scene.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And then Troy, without knowing that Geordi told Barkley to go see her, goes and talks to him about it, which I think would be a huge breach of confidentiality.
I had a very strange visit from one of your officers today.
When Barkley doesn't show up to the bridge when he's supposed to, Geordi calls him.
Lieutenant Barkley is in holodeck 2.
So Troy, Geordi, and Riker go to the holodeck to find Barkley, and they see what he's been doing. Patrick Stewart, again, shows his acting skill, and I really liked it.
Do I detect a streak of yellow along the good fellow's back?
My favorite holodeck character was Riker.
Did I miss the fight? On guard!
After Barkley gets caught, Geordi tries to relate to him and references booby trap.
Look, I know how easy it is to get caught up in it. I fell in love in there once.
I really like that they brought that up again. The ship's warp drive starts accelerating uncontrollably, which will eventually cause the ship to destroy itself.
The engineers are trying to find a connection between all of the different problems, and I would think that maybe Data should have been consulted, but they don't.
Barkley suggests that a person is spreading something that is affecting the otherwise unrelated systems that are having problems, and they narrow it down to a substance being used in the canisters that are being transported that was released by a damaged one earlier, and then they neutralize it by lowering the temperature. Barkley goes out onto the bridge and announces his resignation, but surprise, it turns out he's on the holodeck again. He tells the computer to erase all his custom programs, except one.
Erase all programs filed under Reginald Barkley. Except Program 9.
Hollow Pursuits. Overall,
this is exactly the kind of episode I've been hoping for, an episode about characters living on the ship without a big threat, at least until the end of the episode. Captain's Holiday was kind of like that too, and this episode is comparable in terms of focusing on a humorous tone and having what would normally be the A-plot be kind of unimportant and just a catalyst behind the real story. Barkley felt more like a real person than all the other normal characters, and his presence also made Geordi feel more like a real person in this episode. The end of his arc was predictable, but I really liked the fact that it didn't end up just being Barkley figuring everything out by himself. It really did feel like a team of engineers figuring shit out. I'd give this episode a B+.
I gave it a B. The holodeck is a great place to showcase these ridiculous moments because anything is game and the only limit is the user's imagination. And as far as I can remember, this is the only time we've seen anything so imaginative but for straight fun. I feel like an artistic or creative mind would thrive in the holodeck. The other characters have used it, but as a cookie-cutter extension of their already established personas. I like Barkley as a character, even though he was a little goofy. There have to be many others on the ship just like him that we just never see. I did not like how everybody else didn't know how to act around Barkley. They've dealt with rogue computers, giant fish, and averting planetary destruction. But this guy is the one thing they don't know how to handle. As funny as the episode was, that premise in itself was kind of dumb. Riker in particular was a total dick and bully and only had a problem with things when they annoyed him personally, but it was good.